Right. Hopefully this works. Got a few different angles set up. This is going to be a how-to. Not really a how-to, just we're going to be tearing down Matt's 4L80 that was in his truck. We built him a unit for that. And he sent us the good running core. We're gonna tear it down, build it with a bunch of Hughes stuff and Jake's Performance D3 trans brake that used to be in my car that Jake gave me, so we're gonna give it to somebody else. Okay, I guess the tractor's already out. Or maybe my partner borrowed it, which is, I think, what happened. Well, that should be entertaining. I'll get to figure out how to pick a 4L80E off the ground that weighs as much as I do. Good thing we got one of these boys. So yeah, everybody watching this, I'm just going to assume has a shyster toter motor slash forklift. Those are colloquial terms depending on where you're from. Everybody's probably freaking out because I started it and I'm backing up so quick. Oh, here it is. Would you look at that? I guess I already took it out of the crate and put it here and wrote Matt's right there on it. So I'm doing all this for nothing. So we can just fast forward over this. I'll go put the toter motor back because we don't need that. Isn't that funny? We're just doing it live here. Not enough momentum. We'll do it live. Fuck it, we'll do it live. Alright, we'll close that up in a little bit. totally forgot we already did this. This way you guys know it's not scripted. We already borrowed a speed sensor and the valve body off of it for another build because I knew we were gonna put this Jake's Performance D3 valve body on mats on a later episode of building a 4L80E. These things are lifesavers, aka backsavers. Oop, just about lost it. This is where the big strong guys that are going to be in wheelchairs when they're 60 would say, oh, you just pick that sucker up, man. Just pick it up. Just pick it up. Don't be a wuss. Or you could just work smart, not hard. Right. Grab your roll cart that everybody has. Oh, he's got mittens on. He's got bitch mittens on. He's a wuss. Is that a good view? There we go. Check out the hues. There we go. These are all the tools you kind of need. Would need an 8, but the valve bodies are already off 10, 13, 15, 19, or 3/4 to get the rear cooler fitting out, which we've already taken out. Snap ring pliers, hammer, pry bar, flathead, tricky flathead, 3/8, or you can use your electric, whatever you prefer. Hopefully there's not too much residual slamming background noise. And now we're gonna tear it down. Good way to start off. Throw my impact on the ground. Oh, BRB, I gotta go turn the shop. You know what? I'll just use my electric impact. Hopefully nothing's too tight. Hopefully this turns out to be a good angle. My Milwaukee's better. Judo chop. Put that away. Full spline, that's nice. Let's pop this out when we got some weight in there. That holds the rear lube seal in. Trash. Yeah, normally there's a valve body there. Like I said, we had to rob that for a build because we just did, and I knew we were putting a trans brake in this one. Your torque's 40. Sometimes this is like a little Allen head from a Transco kit. I'm not the biggest fan. It's good for stripping out I don't think it's necessary. I knew that was going to happen. This is a 12.3/8. It's the only standard size in this transmission. This is the center support bolt. I don't know if you can see, it's got a hole down the center of it for the reverse / third gear feed. If you leave it loose, you'll have a weak reverse. You'll burn up direct clutches. Ask me how I know. 13s. Make sure you take that O-ring off first, because if you try to pull it out, the stator support will bind up on that and you have to jam it back in. This is the pump. Some people call it the front pump. Kind of redundant. Some power glides had rear pumps, so that's why they say the front pump. But nothing GM has used a front or rear pump in a really long time. This transmission ran great. As far as I know, it's completely stock. And it has, Matt will tell you how many miles it's got on it, or has on it, I don't remember. But I predict we will see some bushing wear. Intermediate clutches will be slightly touched up because they always seem to be. But other than that, I don't predict much damage. Should be a fairly decent core. Come on, get off. This is a lube shield. I always forget to put them in half the time, then have to pull the pump after I build it. That's good. No wear there. Sometimes if you put it, or if you put the torque converter in and stack it, this inner gear will damage that. Or if the torque converter fails in the previous build, you'll see a lot of wear right here around the crescent, on the outside of the outer gear. But it looks perfect. We're just going to do a tear down today, and then we'll probably do a build video. I might do another one right after this comparing some parts, because this is one of the parts Hugh sent. Hopefully y'all aren't getting motion sickness on my head. Matt will probably switch back and forth between the head and the time lapse and you guys right there. So this is the weaker model. It's a later model design, but these Sprags, or these rollers right here, they're smaller on a later model. I believe it's like 01 or 02 or newer. And the earlier ones, they're, I want to say, like maybe a 1/2 inch diameter. There's a lot of, if you're ever gonna start building these, get you one of these first thing. ATSG Automatic Transmission Service Guide. It's our service group. Wow, I'm wrong. It's right there. Just read it. Get you an ATSG book. It'll help you. Tells you all the differences through the years. There's a discrepancy or two in there. You know, take it, but it's mostly right, and it's a good tool. If you're gonna inspect how far back and forth they go, look at the face of all the pinions. Make sure they spin freely. You know, I know guys that take every single one of these apart every single time. I only take them apart if I feel wear. Check that bearing in there, make sure it doesn't feel rough. But I feel it's not necessary. I mean, even at my own personal race car. I didn't take it apart, I just felt it. Oh, but yeah, some people say this isn't ideal. It is weaker, but I have been 8s with this exact roller Sprag in my old transmission. So it is, it can take power if you put the shifter in the right position. What that does, if I put it in drive 3, is applies these 3 clutches. And when those spline onto here, it helps support this Sprag. It hurts to throw these out because they're just good, but we're gonna. These are necessary if you're going to build transmissions. Foot press. Hopefully it doesn't make me look stupid. Hopefully I get it out quickly. This is called the, some people call it the overdrive. To me this is the overrun drum. Thank God that came out easy. This is, I call this the overrun drum. Another place you could check for wear is right here. On the faces of these, they like to pit a little bit. This one shows slight pitting. Yeah, we'll probably grab a spare one because I've got a ton of these. I don't know if this is focusing or not. But right on the faces of those, they show some wear. So these transmissions are costly to build a lot of times because they're hard on hard parts. I'm gonna throw this away. Some people might freak out that I'm throwing that away, but I got a hookup on those. I got the hookup. How's it if you hear me? I'll save this. We're going to be replacing all the pistons, but there's like a national piston shortage, it seems, with this whole COVID stuff. This is overdrive. Obviously, it goes on in 4th gear. Perfect. A little bit of heat. You can see here. See, that one's good, but there's some in the middle. So just wear and tear. Because with it being stock, there really isn't bumped. You know, line pressure is probably making factory like 150, 160 psi. And at big power and big weight, that's not ideal. See if I can stick this into my palm. There is a tool for this, but oop, almost did it. There we go. Once you get it started, once you're in there, you're in there. Save that boy. A couple seals right here. These don't usually go bad unless something else has failed and put metal into it, or unless somebody blew up the whole overdrive. Not usually a wearable piece. Some people will see a little wear right there from the steels hitting them. Really not terribly critical. We save these input shafts because when the big box trucks drive around misfiring their whole life off, they'll wear the splines. So that'll probably be put in a box truck someday. This is the forward drum. Okay. This is forward. It's on in all forward gears. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I hear my partner showing up. We're supposed to load a transmission up in a tote. These are forward clutches. They look perfect. That means the previous owner never ran it low on fluid.
He's doing all these lights with burnouts.
You see the lines? Hey, your socket is stuck to your magnet.
Oh,
The one I borrowed.
I was looking for my damn single key with my little ring around it.
sometimes this bushing right here will wear out, and what happens is it takes everything out of alignment, and then these will touch down in here and damage the forward drum, because that's where the sealing rings rise. Alright. Trying to mention all the important things as I tear down every piece. Wonder if anybody thinks I'm going slow. To them I say, I'm trying to explain stuff at the same time. There you go. These are molded pistons. It's factory in 4L80s from like 96 or 7 and newer. Pull that sucker up. Like I said, we'll save that in case I can't get these pistons. Oh my God. If you weren't wearing gloves, you could have got that. We'll be replacing this piece. This is a forward hub, 4L80. It's an upgrade for a 400. Makes a higher pitch sound. The one Hughes sent is Billet. I really don't know what that means. I just know it's stronger. This is the direct drum. I predict a little wear right here on these clutches. This is the intermediate / front band. This is what gives you engine braking in second gear. It stops the direct drum. Those rarely wear out. Oh my God. Yeah, see? Little hot spots. That's what the dual feed helps prevent from happening. See, we're starting to see a little heat. See a little, they're kind of like puzzle pieces, starting to chip off a little bit. So this was the beginning of the end for this transmission. These are scrap. Let's throw them in the steel pile. There we go. Throw them in the steel. We'll be replacing this piston with a Turbo 400 aluminum piston, so you can machine it for more clutches, but also so you can easily put stiffer return springs in here that allow for a more rapid trans brake release. Actually, we're going to be using an all new drum. I shouldn't even take this apart. I should just save this thing. Yeah, I think I will, because this will be good for when some box truck nukes it, everything in it. I can just grab this core, because Hughes sent Matt an aluminum. Well, he sent me an aluminum direct drum. We'll compare those in a little bit. Of course, all you guys are watching, I'm on Struggle Street with this snap ring. There we go. Well, look at this. Just for compensation piece. This is the intermediate Sprag. When you're in first gear, it's holding, but the intermediate clutches aren't applied. So when it stops in second gear, when these clutches apply, it stops the direct drum. And just imagine something that weighs, I think, maybe 9 or 10 pounds, coming to a very rapid stop on the 1-2 shift. What happens is, I don't know if you can see it, this one has slight wear, but it will wear the face of these lugs. There's 34 of these, and then when those eventually wear out or you overpower them, the Sprag flips and it goes both ways. That's no good, because then you lose second gear. Doesn't. This is where the nifty snap ring remover comes in. Twist it right out. This is where I predict we'll see the worst wear. Intermediates, yeah. Intermediates just always seem to show the worst, no matter what you do. Even in my own personal one. Every time I go into them a year or two later, there's nothing like this, but just a little bit of wear. I'll say that. That's trash. I've got a pile of those, and we'll throw the snap ring away because we use a Chrysler 727 snap ring. Thicker, takes up more of the snap ring groove. This is the center support we're taking out next. This is like the lifeblood of a transmission, or of the 4L80 / Turbo 400. It's responsible for second gear oil and some lubrication and third and reverse oil. Center support. Where the heck are you? Where are you going? We'll get that in a minute. Sometimes they show rare rock there, but this one looks pretty good. Probably still replace it anyway. It's an intermediate piston. Take the sealing rings off. Come on, let's break it. There. Just pulled out the case bushing. That happens sometimes. Hopefully this case is good. A lot of times they're like cam bearings. You just slide a new one in. We're going to put a Turbo 400 case bushing in. Might have to knurl it, get tricky, or glue it with some Loctite. Fretting ring or anti-fretting ring. Come on. There we go. Reaction or front planet, rear planet. Sun gear. Shows a little bit of wear right there. You can see on the face, are refocusing. We'll replace that. These go in the trash because we're going to replace it with the Turbo 350 pump bearing. That's the rear bushing, or the rear thrust washer. So those tabs hold it static in the case, and they spin on it like that. It's a decent design, it works, but when you're spinning a bunch of drive shaft speed, it's good to put a bearing there. Good test. This is your low roller Sprag. If the elements fall out, kind of like that, probably dropped it wrong, but it means it's time to replace it. It's like a $15 part, so. And if they go bad, and it doesn't hold on that inner race. It spins the direct drum at 1,000,000 RPMs, and then the direct drum comes apart into your feet. Pretty neat. Here for play, there's a tolerance. I want to say it's like 24 thousandths how much in, back and forth they go. Check for rock as well. This one feels mint. All in all, this is a pretty good core. You can lose a ton of money on these real quick when you start having to throw away every hard part in it. Some people do get away with just getting a junkyard unit and putting a shift kit in it. Those days are getting more and more rare, in my opinion. Because as you saw, even a good running transmission we just tore down, and intermediates, directs were torched. Case bushing fell out. The overdrives were a little touched up. Bushing wear. This is the main shaft, rear planet ring gear. We're going to replace this with a billet main shaft that Hughes sent as well. This is the output shaft. They didn't make billet ones till somewhat recently, and I've seen people I've heard of people that I know in the industry. I said people a lot. Builders I know in the industry tell me that you can put 3,000 horsepower through these. So, within reason, don't wheel hop it or chatter the tires. But yeah, you can make a ton of horsepower and a lot of stock stuff with these. You do have to put some nice stuff in. But yeah, we'll see if the case is damaged from where that bushing spun. It'll probably be all right. I use a Turbo 400 bushing back there, but don't tell nobody. Don't tell nobody my secrets that Hutch and Jake told me. And you tip her over and throw the basket under. Let it drain a little. And then you call it a day. All in an early afternoon's work. Well, can't think of anything else I want to mention. Yeah, it's a pretty decent core. I'd give $200, $300 for that core all day. We try to buy every one we can that we can afford, because they're not like Turbo 350s that they put in everything. The build numbers on 4L80s are a lot more rare, relatively speaking. So, but that's all for now. We'll probably do a sub-component build video and a review of what parts are getting replaced that Hughes sent. Aftermarket stuff. Stay tuned.